It's widely accepted that good health is achieved through a combination of an active lifestyle and balanced nutritional intake, of which protein forms a significant part. But it appears not all proteins are created equal. Scientists at the Reddit Institute and Massey University are comparing proteins from different sources. The study is part of a program called The Role of Red Meat in Healthy and Sustainable New Zealand Diets.
This is the very first study carried out in New Zealand that compares New Zealand pasture-raised to grain-finished beef and also a plant-based alternative at the same time. So as we know that New Zealand's sheep and beef production system is mainly free-range and pasture-fed compared to grain-finished or grain-fed in many other countries. So it is really important to understand if there are any differences in the nutritional quality of meat if it is raised the New Zealand way. We wanted to see how our human digestive system behaves to differing food compositions and how the nutritious food components such as proteins and fats are released during the digestion process for the body to use. So this study was completed using the laboratory-based models. We also call them in vitro digestion simulators that mimic the human digestive tract. So the in vitro digestion reactors, we simulate the conditions that are like, for example, in the mouth, in the stomach, and in the small intestine. And we try to simulate all those conditions and add the food material and then test how that is broken down, how the proteins are broken down. Then we analyze the breakdown products in order to see, how much breakdown has occurred over the course of the digestion. Proteins are the building blocks of the body. They are very essential nutrient that's really important to maintain body functioning. So we use the term digestibility, which determines the amount of a nutrient that'll potentially be digested and absorbed in the human body. But not all the food that is consumed is digested because our bodies are not capable of extracting all the nutrients from the food material. Meat in general is a very rich source of protein and a very highly digestible protein as well compared to other foods. When we compared pasture-raised beef to grain-finished beef, we found that there were no differences in the way the protein was digested among these two production systems. But at the same time, we also found that the plant-based alternative that we tested did show significantly lower protein digestibility compared to meat in general, compared to all the meat cuts that we tested. So we can say that beef proteins are quite digestible, which means that they break down quite efficiently in the human digestive system. So the differences that we observed between the meat and the plant-based alternative could be due to the differences in the structure and composition of these animal proteins and plant proteins. We're doing some very exciting research trying to find novel ways of processing meat using innovative technologies such as the KIMPAS system. So the KIMPAS system that we have at Massey is a very innovative system and one of the two systems available globally. So this is microwave-assisted thermal sterilization, and this process has a huge potential, particularly for shortening the processing times for meat, for tough meat cuts, for example. And we are also using pulse electric fields, shockwave processing and plant-based enzyme processing as well. We are injecting some plant-based enzymes into the tough meat cuts to make them tender. So all these technologies, they are the technologies of the future. So these technologies are needed to add value to the low-value cuts of meat. And through the use of these technology, we are sort of fulfilling the sustainability initiative that the Reddit Institute has by adding value to those low-value meat cuts. Those low-value meat cuts, sometimes, they are used in the pet food industry, but in the next few years, we can transform those low-value cuts into high-value products for human food use and add value to those cuts as well. At the same time, while working on this, we are also trying to find out innovative ways of replacing the synthetic preservatives that are used in processed meat products. So the chemicals, for example, nitrates and nitrites, which are added in the processed meat products. People are going away from those chemicals and they want some natural solutions. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to replace those chemical preservatives with clean and plant-based ingredients which are more sustainable and from the New Zealand plant-based ingredients so that we can produce clean label meat products. And the global meat industry and the New Zealand meat industry, they're also looking for replacing the synthetic preservatives with fully natural preservatives. We found that the pasture-raised meat that we tested contained lower levels of saturated fatty acids. These saturated fatty acids, they have been linked with some adverse health outcomes. But on the other hand, the omega-3 fatty acids, the good fat, was found to be higher in case of pasture-raised meat compared to the grain-finished meat. The dietary intake of these omega-3 fatty acids, such as EPA and DHA, has been recommended in the dietary guidelines worldwide. We can also say that the plant-based alternative that we tested compared to all the meat cuts had higher levels of the saturated fatty acids released after digestion. So this could be due to one of the ingredients that's added in the plant-based alternative that we tested, which is the coconut fat, which is very high in saturated fatty acids. So one of the ingredients that's added in the plant-based alternative is also canola oil, which is a source of some good MOFAs, which we say monounsaturated fatty acids. But the omega-3 fatty acids, which we were interested in, which are linked with good health outcome, good cardiovascular health, we found those omega-3s to be lacking in the plant-based alternative. We are pretty confident that studies like ours provide genuine scientific evidence that will help to enhance the value of the New Zealand beef in the export market, and also will be very helpful for our farmers building a strong reputation as high-quality beef producers.